Hello friends, I'm back to do the second page of this layout here. I promised you last week that I would create a companion page for this, so I printed out the rest of the photos. This is from actual Halloween night, and then like I said in the other video, these were like the week before at some point when they dressed up for school. So it was super fun. Both of my kids wanted to be Harry Potter and Hermione for this Halloween, and you can tell that they're different days because his little scar that I put on with eye pencil is different in each of the photos. So over here it's a little bit crooked. So I'm thinking that for this side, I'm going to just carry over this background pattern over here so that these brown lines go all the way across and everything just flows all the way across. So why don't I go ahead and just cut that paper. Okay, so here we go. Same as I did last time. I grabbed a piece of cardstock in a color I don't really use, and I'm going to go ahead and glue on the top and bottom first, and then I'm going to glue this on, and I'm going to keep the adhesive from the very edge, and then I like to kind of scoot this under to make sure that it's hanging out the exact same amount as there. Okay, time to bring my photos in. I'm not quite sure how I want to arrange them. I was thinking maybe these could stack because I've got my two leaf clusters here, and then I saved all the ones that we created last week here. And if you missed that, I will link it at the end of this video. I showed a really fun inking on photo paper technique to create these vibrant fall leaves. But that means I want my third cluster to be kind of up here. I don't know that I like these stacked, so it feels like it's a little too cramped in between the top and bottom patterns. So what if I kind of overlap them a little bit? I could do that. I don't want to cover up this little Elmo bin because when I was looking back at this, this was in 2021, so it was a while ago, and it reminded me of this little Elmo Halloween basket that he had. But I don't know if I want the top, him on the top or the bottom. I don't know. I think maybe I'm covering up less if I do this because I have more candy down here. And then I can overlap this just a little bit because there's some extra space over here and have them a little bit clustered like that. I like the way that looks. And then that gives us space over here to do some embellishing. So before I adhere these down, I want to kind of play around and actually, let's see. I want to make sure I represent all of the colors that I have from the other side. So the red, yellow, and green. So this red, I've got the red and I've got the more orangey one that I did. So I've got the more red one here, the more orange one here. So I guess it just depends. I think I like the more red one. It is cut off, so I'm going to have to camouflage that. But I think if I kind of put it up like that, then I can take this big one and just overlap it. And then you'll never know that there is a little piece missing from there. And then this is the one that I cut from here because so much of this one was hiding. So I thought maybe I could tuck this somehow so that we've got a little bit peeking out. Maybe something like that. There's not a whole lot peeking out. And there's a little bit of adhesive on here from when I had it over here. All right, I was able to wipe that off enough so that it's not too noticeable. And then I've got some other smaller leaves in here, so I might try to bring, because I only have a tiny bit of yellow here, I might try to bring a little bit down here as well. This one has a little piece cut out of it, so I think this one will be fine. And then maybe tuck a little bit of red as well, just so it's not this little lone leaf all by itself. So I think that is looking pretty good. Might want it up here a little more. Now I have a broom here, my Firebolt or Nimbus 2000, if you will. I did look it up after last time. I couldn't remember. It is Nimbus 2000. And there was a Nimbus 3000 also later on. But then Harry got a Firebolt. So I was trying to figure out if I could incorporate another broom, but I think it looks a little funny because this is kind of in the middle. I don't like it anywhere over here, so I think I'm going to leave that off. but I really want to try to incorporate this tree. Now this is from this, there's a DSP pack and a scrapbooking kit. This is the DSP pack, and it had the brooms and all of these fun little pop-out pieces. And so I really wanted to try using this. It didn't work over here. Plus I have a lot of black and white in my title, but I kind of like it over here, and it's kind of like sitting on this little grassy line right here, and it kind of like brings that across. So I do like that. So I've got my visual triangle with the bright colors, and I think that this might be enough. I don't think I need any of these other ones. But then I also had these left over from another project, and I thought that these might be kind of fun to work in. These are from the Changing Leaves die set that came out last year. So I thought it might be kind of cute to work those in. Maybe a couple of them up here. These leaves are cut out of the earthen metallic paper, which is new, and the coppery color I think looks really pretty with all of the maroon in my photos, especially my daughter's Hermione wig, and it's a nice little addition to mix in with all of those other ones. I also popped out some more bats since we have some of those on the left side, and I really liked that, so I wanted to definitely repeat that. Of course, we want to repeat elements from one side to the other anyway. That's what helps create a cohesive two-page layout. These photos were the first Halloween that we spent in Colorado, so it's kind of fun to look back. It's actually a different neighborhood than we live in now, because this was a rental that we rented first before we bought our house. So it's fun to look back at these at the neighborhood and the house that we lived in back then. That tree was so pretty. We have a pretty tree now, but it's a lot bigger, and it's hard to get the leaves in any photos. I had these two sets in my collection of stamps from Close to My Heart, and when I got this stamp set, I had this layout in mind. And then this one over here, Spectacular You, it's got all of these glasses, and then there's these ones that look like Harry Potter. So I stamped all of these and fussy cut them out. There's even a lightning bolt on this one and a lightning bolt on this one, so I'll see if I can maybe work that in somehow. But I stamped them with black onto white, and then I just took a little basic beige with a blending brush and kind of went around them to give them a little bit of an aged look, so it looks, I don't know, a little more antique-y. I thought that that might be cute, kind of resting here with these things. Let's see if we can work this in. I'm not sure I'm gonna like this. It might be too big, but that is super cute. Let's see if we can work in the Harry Potter glasses somewhere. Well, maybe overlapped over here. We'll have to see, because I was also trying to figure out how to use this You Are Magical. I thought that might be cute. It might be too much though, because we've already got the title here, black and white, black and white. This would be black and white, but I might just play with it. All right, so I stamped it out, and then I wanted to cut it out. There's this stamp set, Fright Night. It's a stamp, and it's got some really fun dies. And I thought maybe this smaller one, which actually cuts out this perfectly, I thought that might be kind of cute, although it might be too big. Actually, I think that's too big. Let me see what else I can find. But while I'm at it, I think I might cut some of these spider webs, and maybe one of these. That might be a cute little addition. So I grabbed this Nested Essentials set, and this one right here, it is the perfect height if I have it like this, but obviously it's not long enough. So I think I'm gonna do some partial die cutting and cross my fingers and hope that it works, and then I can get it to go all the way across. So let me show you how I'm gonna do that. Okay, so to do partial die cutting, obviously we don't want this middle part to die cut through, but I'm gonna bump it up as far in as I can, and then I'm gonna tape this in place, and I'm gonna try not to, I don't want the tape in here because sometimes it tears. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run it through like this, and I'm gonna leave this part off of the plates so that it doesn't cut. So if it's not in the plates, there's no pressure to cut it. So I'm gonna go ahead and run this through. All right, moment of truth. Let's see. There we go. It went right up to there. So now all we have to do is that same thing on the other side. But I wanna make sure these stitching lines line up. So I'm gonna try to kind of push this into place, and I can feel that it's kind of, the die is kind of locked in with the stitching that's already there. So I'm going to put that in place, and then we'll do the same thing from the other side and leave that hanging off. Okay, it is perfect. I love it. It's the perfect size, not too big, not too small. All right, let's see how it looks over here. You know what? I think I need to kind of do that little distressing on this one as well. So I'll go ahead and show you how I did that. I've got, now did I do basic beige or crumb cake? I think I did the crumb cake. Now I can't remember. I'm pretty sure I did the crumb cake. So let's open that, and then I've got a little scrap piece of paper here. I'm gonna dab off and then just real lightly go over this, just to kind of like distress it a little bit so it's not so stark white. Looks a little more magical. I did it a little bit to the glasses too, but I just didn't do it as much, so it doesn't look as dark. Let's see how that looks. So I really like the height of the owl cage here. Let's see what it looks like with just the glasses. I do like that, and I like the owl cage, but I don't like that they're the same exact color. Okay, so I cut out these pieces from that Fright Night set. I was thinking maybe if I put the little spider webs over here. I was trying to lean more fall on this side and then Halloween on this side, but it really doesn't matter. They're both kind of going together. And then in my journaling, I'll add that this was, you know, for school. I think that looks kind of cute. I feel like I need some spider webs over here now, but before I cut out some more, let's see if we can get this eek. Do we like the eek? I'm not really loving the eek. It felt like there were too many words, and it felt like there were too many words over on the left. So I'm trying out this "You Are Magical" on the right and see if I can kind of nestle that in the tree. And then now I think the owl cage looks good over there. It's not too crowded. And then I'll move this little letter up here in the leaves. And I think this could be the winner. I want to try adding some of those little candy corns right here. I feel like this little corner here is a little blank. That's kind of cute, but I feel like it's a little bit forced. There's already so much going on, so many colors in the leaves. I don't like the color of the candy corn being added. Everything else is really black and white and beige. So I'm going to take that out, and then I have this October 31st sticker from the Scrapbooking Kit sticker sheet, and then that doesn't add any more color. So that's pretty cute. And then I have this little spider too. I think he looks kind of cute in the tree. I added some of my favorite iridescent foil gems. They were added on the left side as well. And I think that finished everything off really nicely. I love how it turned out. If you'd like to see still shots, I'll have them on Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest. Those links are down below, as well as links to all the supplies I used if you're interested. I did end up removing all of these coppery colored leaves. They just were a little bit too much with all of the other embellishment I added. If you missed the first layout, that's up here on the screen right now, so go ahead and click that and I'll see you over there. Bye!